evening and welcome to Cardiff City World tonight. You are joined by myself, Matt, and Mr. Alan Anderson. Good evening, sir. How are you?
Good evening, Matt. I'm very well. How are you doing?
Yeah, not too bad, mate. Not too bad. House to myself for a change. Kids are out and my wife has taken my daughter to a show in Cardiff. So it's nice to have a bit of peace and quiet back, to be fair. Which I know is not the case in your house because I've been on the live with you just before you've gone on and it sounds as if you've got a madhouse there, buddy.
They're all putting up the Halloween decorations, so men's all over it.
Kids love it down at this time of year now. It's kind of Halloween's gone, then it's bonfire night, and then everything's Christmas, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely.
But I thought obviously we'd just jump on tonight. I know the guys were on last night talking to Craig McHale-Smith. So I don't know how much I haven't caught that yet. So I don't know how much they talked about the Wrexham game. I know Evan talked about it after the game too tonight, but I just thought it'd be nice for me and you to check our pennies worth into the mix, buddy. And job done, really. Never in doubt, was it?
No, never. It's just a strange one, isn't it? Like the confidence for a team that's, a league below is bonkers, wasn't it? But I don't think there's many City fans that doubted that we were going to win that game. But
no, I was fairly confident, and I think even more so when you've seen the Wrexham lineup, and then they kind of left quite a few of their big names on the bench. I know Kiefer come on and scored their goal, and he kind of shushed the Cardiff crowd, didn't he? But I was, so glad we managed to get it over the line, really. But I just wanted to shout out as well because I know your brother was one of the ones who got stuck with travelling up there. And did you catch like the last half hour of the game or something, wasn't it?
Yeah, last 20 minutes, I think.
Last 20 minutes. So fair play to those who did make the effort to travel up. I know your brother caught the train and somebody jumped in front of the train, if I'm right.
Yeah.
So never good to hear that. But I hope all the fans got back. But it was brilliant to see Will Fish's goal go in. It was at the 70th or 71st minute, I think, and right in front of the Cardiff fans as well. And absolute limbs in our away end, wasn't it?
Yeah, it looked good, didn't it, to be fair?
It did. And it's just a shame, really. It was only 1,200 tickets available, really. But I suppose, the size of their stadium at the moment, they're still waiting on that fourth stand to be built. So, it is what it is, isn't it? It's something we're accustomed to now this year. It's playing in smaller stadiums and restrictions on the away tickets, mate, isn't it?
And that's the problem with the size of the following that Cardiff City has, We can probably fill out some of the stadiums, probably more than the young fans.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. So, obviously, going back to the game, no surprises really in the starting lineup. I think we all thought he was going to go fairly strong. Fairly strong he went.
Absolutely. I think it's definitely a statement of intent, isn't it, from Brian, of recent results and stuff. There's been a few question marks over certain bits and pieces, but who better than to put the marker against it, irrelevant of who Wrexham are. The fact it's a team in the Championship that recent results have been pretty good, to be fair, and they've been scoring a few goals. We can sit there and we can knock that they made 7 changes, but they've still got a Championship squad. They still started with a couple of Welsh internationals that were selected over Kiefer, you know what I mean? Over Ruben, and Ruben was the star of the show, and it's a great advocate for Welsh football. It was a decent game, Cardiff City played a bit of total football and managed the expectations and the result very well, to be fair.
Yeah, first half, I thought we were absolutely outstanding all over the pitch, really. I know they come back into the game a bit more second half when Kiefer Moore come on, and he got his Porter's goal. That ball crossed in, deflected, looped up, and there's only one person going to score that, and that was Kiefer Moore. But for us to come back into the game then, and because I think Wrexham, in fairness, probably took control for 10, 15 minutes of that period, then the second half. But then after that, then, like I said, I thought once we went 2-1 up, I didn't see us, losing the game, really. But, that's credit to the guys' mentality and the way they stuck at it for the full 90 minutes.
No, absolutely, mate. It's a great learning curve, especially for some of those younger players, isn't there? And I can just imagine what the ownership group of Wrexham are thinking about the value of their players to ours now.
Was you watching the game, Al? Was you surprised on, I thought we made them look really poor first half. I don't know whether that's because we played so well or Wrexham were in Noddyland or Hollywood or whatever you want to call it. But I just thought they looked really poor for a team. And I know they didn't start all their strongest players then. But for a team who've spent near on, £35 million in the summer I thought they were below average, to be fair.
Yeah, they just looked like there was no aggression and no real intensity with sort of Wrexham. It was very strange because, that's the one quality you need in English football, and it's that intensity. It's getting the fans up, and to be fair, there was no atmosphere either from their sort of spectators as well. It was a very, very strange one. Majority of the game, we actually looked like the home team, to be fair. The way we controlled the game, and yes, they had that 15-minute spell, but we didn't look overly uncomfortable. I think just there was probably a few more goals in. Hit the crossbar a couple of times. There was moments of magic and moments of brilliance, and just listening.
I think from a Cardiff fan, though, especially, and you might agree to this, you might not, and there's people in the chat who might disagree. But for me, it was nice to have a game and watch the game and us creating chances, because we've had large possession for most of the games we've played this season, but there's been no really any creativity then in that final third. But on Tuesday we did look as if we were creating chances, and like you said, we had the crossbar 2 or 3 times, I think it was, and we did create chances, didn't we?
Absolutely, and these moments will come. The more they play together, the better it becomes. But the team looked a bit more balanced in midfield. The back four was very settled. It's probably the sort of things that we're asking for at Cardiff City, and the passion at the end was fucking fantastic as well, man.
Yeah, I'd seen the clip today of BBM's wife put a TikTok post up of her celebrating in the crowd, and I just thought that was brilliant. Absolutely brilliant.
Love it. Proper togetherness at the minute.
Yeah, it is, and it's something we haven't had for such a long time. And I don't know if you've listened to the Perry NG press conference from today, but I'm guessing then that you have. But he said, he knows he's not playing as much football as probably he'd like, but he said it's probably the best time he's had since he's been at Cardiff at the moment, which speaks volumes, really, because I think there was a period, maybe not last season, but towards the end of the season before then, perhaps, where we all thought he was kind of done and dusted. He was out the door. There was people talking, there's rumours, he's kind of the rotten apple. But, when he has come back into the team this year, I think he's put a shift in it, and he's kind of like the Perry of old that we've seen. I think he's knuckling down, testament to him, really, because he's got a youngster in front of him at the moment, Ronan Capaccio. And it's good to have that competition on that right-hand side there, them two, innit?
Absolutely. I think we touched upon it a few months ago, that it's the environment and the culture that Brian's created. It's a place that players want to come and actually grow and learn. And I think you'd be quite stupid if there's a manager of Brian's ilk and caliber that you wouldn't want to be around and sort of become a better player for her. And I think Perry's at that point where he's probably had a bit of a last season wasn't his greatest, and probably a bit of humble pie where he was at. And this season he's hungry again, but Capaccio's doing very, very well. But then Perry's doing well when he sort of comes in as well. So it's a nice battle there, isn't it?
Yeah, 100%. Another positive from Tuesday night was to see Cian Ashford back to somewhere close to his best. I think he's been in and out of the team, hasn't he? But a couple of dodgy performances from his probably from his standards. Nothing terrible, but I think he's probably got high expectations of himself now as well, and it was nice to see him back to somewhere near his best on Tuesday night, wasn't it?
Well, I love it. I think that there's a good arrogance about Cian, especially when he's playing very well and that ball sticks to him. I think obviously recently his confidence has probably been a bit sort of shocked a bit, and obviously the fans' pressure on the back, and you sort of lose that, don't you? Lose that sort of shine. But the other day you could see it was back, and there's a few moments of brilliance that just sort of get people up off their feet, and he starts to smile again, and we benefit from it.
Yeah, brilliant to see. Pulling the strings, Mr. Ruben Caldwell, outstanding. Obviously playing in front of the Welsh manager. I know the game before, was it Bolton? I don't think he had a great game, did he? Or was it the Reading game? I can't remember. But yeah, he's outstanding Tuesday night when he, in fairness to him.
Yeah, I think there was a different sort of tone though, and I think Ruben doesn't play very well when he goes looking for it. I think when he sort of other players are creating that space for him and he's able to carry the ball, I think that's when you see Ruben at his best. And Robertson allowed him to play the other day. There was a lot of all that,
Yeah, no, I agree with you. Alex Robertson coming back into the mix as well now. Obviously came on the weekend, or started on the weekend, and came on last night, I believe. What's your opinions on seeing him in the last 2 games? Excited to see him back and in the mix?
Yeah. Absolutely, he's a very good player, especially for that standard. Obviously, there's bits going on behind the scenes. I think they'll make him a better player, and I think Cardiff City will reap rewards from it. But we've got to take into consideration that's he's early in his days of minutes, isn't he? But he's looking good.
Yeah, definitely. And the last one I wanted to touch upon really was Callum Chambers. I thought he put in another decent performance Tuesday night. Again, he's another player who's come under lots of criticism over probably the last 12, 18 months, really. But I thought he put in another solid performance at the back Tuesday night.
Absolutely, he's a proper leader, and he's gone about his business and head down, improved. At one point we were saying his fourth choice was probably third choice behind Lauder and Fish at the minute. And you can very reliable at the minute, which is very strange to say about Callum, but he steps in, you don't really worry too much.
Yeah, I'm going to jump into the questions quickly and have a little look who's about. Evening JT. He said, I would rather progress in the FA Cup than the Pizza Cup. I can't take that tournament serious with under 21 teams in it. So we'll come back to that now once we've gone through the questions. Evening, Zach. He says, evening, lads. Mr. Rhys David Evans is in the chat as well. Good evening, buddy. Hope you're good, mate. Paul, good evening, my friend. Evening, chaps and chat. Cup runs are good, but the league is what we want to win. Last few years, cup runs haven't been an interest by the club. We need to take this form into the league now. Yeah, agree. And like I said, we'll come back and talk to you a little bit about that in a second. Lewis Watts was there last night. What a team performance. Best away day in years. What a night. What time did you get home, Lou?
Jamie got just...
Yeah. Rhys David Evans says, their midfield 3 was far too deep. Our extra man dominated. Our wingers got in behind their wing backs far too easy, and too much space between midfield and forward line. Lewis Watt says Alex Robertson was outstanding when he came on.
Mm-hmm.
Paul says, when Ruben is on fire, we create. When he's taken out of the game by markers or disrupting his game, we struggle. It's a fair comment. So what else we got? Yeah, halftime oranges. Good evening. I hope there was a conversation between the Hollywood owners when they realised our academy graduates schooled their 35 million squad. Paul says, Sky Comms were saying when Cardiff lose the ball, the desire to get the ball back is great to watch. They haven't been watching every game. If something did, poor results would have been better. Yeah, evening all. Evening, Ian. Lewis got back at 2:30. Fair play, buddy. Ian also says, and it would be nice to have a cup run. However, we've got loads of games, and I don't fancy reading people on Twitter getting angry that our kids lost to Cock and Womble FC in the Vanarama South. So on that point then, mate, what's your opinions then? Obviously, we're still in the League Cup. Chelsea, we'll come on to that a little bit later. Quarter-final now against Chelsea. We've got the first round of the FA Cup on Saturday away to Peterborough. And obviously, we're still in this Virtue Cup as well. Is it a distraction, do you think, to be involved in all three still at the moment? Or can you look at it in a couple of different ways, really, I suppose, can't you?
I can only think the way that Cardiff City are looking at it is that Virtue Cup is probably a way of seeing where their 23s are at. Probably seeing, how close they are to being in and around that first team, because that's the sort of benchmark and level you'll be playing at. Whereas the FA Cup and the Carling Cup, there's revenue. We've lost quite a bit of revenue sort of dropping down the league this year. So any sort of cup run goes into the club accounts, And it's nice, it's more for the fans, and we'd all have a good, cup run, a good away day, And we won one game away, if we somehow beat Chelsea, we're at Wembley, which, as fans, I can remember some of our moments there. I love it, mate, but you also got to look at the other side of it, the injuries, the backlog of games, the travelling, there's the expenditure towards the fans. There's a lot of that. I just, the more football Cardiff City play, the better for me. But I get the other side of it as well.
No, 100%, but I 100% agree with you. Obviously, the Chelsea game now, I think, is we commence in December the 15th, I think. And I think BBM said in his press conference this morning that obviously it's nice to have a home game. At least the fans are, I know we'll have to buy tickets because they're not part of the season tickets. But, yeah, and, he understands that is a, expensive time of year then for a lot of families, should we say. So it's nice that we've got a home game and people haven't got to shell out more than what they would have to do. So, yeah, Chelsea home. I was hoping Spurs were going to win, but, they kind of got battered by the Magpies, so it is what it is. The FA Cup, really, I think that's, from when I was little, the FA Cup was always the one you wanted to be in, and you wanted to get to that third round to see if you could pull a big club. And the FA Cup, I'll always remember, and it's probably the same for most Cardiff fans, is that Leeds game at Ninian Park. It'd be great to get those atmospheres back in the new Cardiff City Stadium. I would imagine the attendance for the Chelsea game would be quite high in December, but that's still the League Cup. But for us to enter the FA Cup now in round one, I suppose the goal has got to be to get to round three and try and get another one of those big clubs. Like you said, the revenue gained then from going through the rounds, maybe getting a big team that might be live on telly, can only be beneficial really to us as a football club, as long as that's invested back in the right way, mate.
And some of the fringe players, want to be knocking on the door of the Perrys, the certain players like that who want to be getting in that team. That's the opportunity to show it, isn't it?
Yes, and going back on that then, people on the fringes, it was interesting to hear him say today that he still thinks the squad is larger than what he would want. Now, when you look at it, excuse me, you might think that we've got a small squad. So it was interesting to see, as a manager, you'd probably think you'd want more people there, but it was just strange for me to hear him say that it's probably still a little bit too big. I think I've heard things from, I can't remember where I heard it, that he likes to work with small squads. But I suppose that's where his man management comes into play then, and his staff's man management. There's no one out to manage those players and the minutes on the pitch and things. But he seems to be doing a pretty good job at the moment, mate.
Yeah, I would say, I think I would take that with a bit of pinch of salt, maybe a tongue-in-cheek comment. I know he likes to work with a smaller squad, but he was always renowned for having a quality element to a squad, and then also having a supplement of younger players, especially at that academy level. And I think that's what Cardiff City will probably look at, is probably supplementing a bit of more quality in that first team. And then he now knows that the academy players are good enough, and that'll mop it up,
Do you think the end with the Virtue Cup then, I think the first couple of games kind of, we went fairly strong, I believe. But obviously being involved in the League Cup now and the FA Cup, obviously depending on how the result goes on Saturday, do you think the remaining fixtures now, I think we've got Arsenal under 21s on the 11th of November. I'm not quite sure then how it progresses after that. If we beat them, do we kind of top the group? I'm not 100% sure how it works.
I'm not sure, to be fair. It's not something that
I'm sure Reece David Evans, if he's still in the chat, he'll let us know. But I'm not sure if it's the top one or top two go through then to like the quarterfinal stages.
Okay.
So it'll be interesting to see then how, because at the end of the day, it's a route to Wembley, innit? So it'll be interesting to see if he takes all three competitions as serious as one another, or like you said, maybe give some of the academy youngsters a go, give them experience of playing, senior football, so that if they do have to step into the team, then they've had a little bit of experience. So see what happens. Let's jump back into the comments. Callum Robinson has 5 goals against Chelsea. Injured at the moment. Rolled his ankle on Monday.
No losses.
To BBM in his press conference. I think Chris Willock is another one who's struggling. Probably won't play now before the international break, which is disappointing because he has played quite well for us this season, mate, hasn't he?
Absolutely. It gives someone else an opportunity. Nice to see Isaac maybe get some minutes there.
Yeah, no, agreed. He's a Pep graduate. I think that came from the comment I said about he'd like to work with a smaller squad. Pep, the last few seasons, loved to have the same squad. Be good to Peter. Not quite sure what that means, Des. Last 2 seasons not counting. Not sure. Halftime Oranges says no Capaccio and or possibly Kellyman. BS because of Chelsea. A real shame for Capaccio as he's so young and those matches are probably career highlights. A dilemma for Kellyman. If he plays well, they'll recall him. I'm pretty sure in his press conference today, somebody asked the question about Kellyman, would he be able to play? And I think they said yes, he would be able to play. So I'm not 100% on that, but from what they said in the press conference today, they said he would be able to play. I would imagine Capaccio got booked, didn't he? So does he just miss the cup rounds now, or?
I believe so.
He doesn't miss league games, is it? Is it just the cup rounds he would miss?
I believe so, but I might be wrong on that one.
Yeah, I'm not too sure. Reese will tell us again if he's still watching. Be good to beat Peterborough, I think Des was meant to say. Ian Dagley said, yeah, it's the top 2 from every group. So obviously if we beat Arsenal, I think we would be in the top 2. Be good to beat Peterborough and progress to the next round. Zach says Capaccio would just miss the next round. So yeah, it's a bit of a gut wrencher to take, really. But I'm sure the shithousery of Mr. Perry NG will manage against the Chelsea wingers, no doubt. But yeah, he'll have to roll his socks up for that game, mate, I think. Will Perry NG. Commentary said last night Capaccio will miss the Chelsea game. Good work, great. Right, before we go on, guys, I'm just going to play a little video from the boss man. So bear with us for 1 minute. I'll wait for me to find it first. That's what she said. And then we will be back very shortly. I can't find it. There it is. See you in a second.
This episode of Cardiff City World is brought to you by Coral, the proud sponsor of the TalkSport Fan Network, here for all kinds of fans. For the armchair experts, whether you're constantly negative, overly positive, or maybe even the instant over-the-top reaction social media guy or girl, for the football fashionistas still clinging to the legendary terrace fashion of yesteryear, or the best retro gear from Michael Thorne, the nostalgia merchants, dreaming of the old lady Ninian Park, or still celebrating Campbell's goal in the Millennium Stadium, whatever kind of fan you are, with Coral's free-to-play reward shaker with a guaranteed daily reward or offer throughout the season. Simply shake your phone to win. Over 18s only, maximum 1 reward or offer per player per day, 8 a.m. till 8 p.m. Reward restrictions and requirements and other T's and C's apply. For more information on safer gambling, visit gambleaware.org.
Happy days and welcome back. There's a comment in the chat I wanted to bring up as we come back into it. Let's talk of the Wintle, Joel, Ruben midfield connection. Absolute magicians together. What's your thoughts on that, Bert?
Halftime Oranges is right. It's not my chosen midfield 3, but form and performance is probably the best at the moment.
I would tend to agree, mate. I think Ryan Wintle's just our workhorse at the moment, isn't he, to be fair? Does all the donkey work that perhaps people don't appreciate. And Joel, again, is full of energy. Really like him, and it'll be interesting to see how he develops now over the coming years. Hopefully those years are with us. And like you said, when we are on the front foot, there's no one more dangerous, I don't think, in League One, or maybe even the Championship. I don't know, I haven't watched many Championship games this year. But there's not many better than Ruben Caldwell when we're dominating games and we're on the front foot. So it's nice to see him back playing well. So thank you for that comment, Halftime Oranges. Graham says, late on I don't know what that is. Late on granddaughter was sure we need to take our chances if teams are getting 20 shots against us. I don't know what's been on the beer, Gray. I don't know. Perhaps if I misread that. I don't know. Des says Perry and G will come for the Chelsea game long into the future. Hopefully we carry on 15, 20 shots per game. My laptop is not charging. Bear with me. Keep talking on that. Let me check. It's got it turned on.
That's okay. So, so you're absolutely right there. I think what Cardiff City are looking to do is obviously I think there's a structure and a system issue where they're looking at that sort of how many shots they're conceding ratio, but it's that transition, that pattern of play that they're looking to amend. I think that with that element of it, patterns of players are being looked at. I know that there's been a few conversations amongst the squad and open and honest conversations about how we sort of amend that. But I think the way that Cardiff City has been an offensive sort of pattern of play and an offensive sort of shape this year, which does unfortunately sort of create an overload of chances against us. And it's a very new way of playing. You know, you listen to the players' interviews and they're all saying it's a very big transition, isn't it? So I think we are going to shirk, sort of chances against us. But it's nice. It's almost like hockey, we'll go up the other end and we'll have a chance, we'll take it. So, and you got to also believe that there's a lot of confidence in our back four and our goalkeeper as well. Yes, they're shirking 15, 20 chances a game, but they're only conceding. I think we've still got the best defensive record in League One. That's a testament to those players.
Yeah, Nathan Trott has been absolutely outstanding between the sticks for us, hasn't he? Do you know too much about the situation with him and his contract then, Al? I don't know if obviously you can go into too much of it, but I know it's like we've got an option to buy after the loan. So does that mean no other clubs can come around sniffing, or do you know too much about that?
So basically what would happen is that Cardiff City has first refusal. At that point, Copenhagen can buy that option out, and there would be a fee. Or Cardiff City can take the option, purchase him, and then they can actually sell him onto that club. So that's the sort of structure of how it works. Nathan's very happy here is the best way to describe it. So he's enjoying it.
But that's something we need to be doing, getting the paperwork signed and sealed as soon as we can, really. And we probably, is there something that we probably can't do that until the end of the season? Would I be right in saying that?
Yeah, so the obligation is effectively kicks in at the end of the season. If it was a case of prior to that, what's saying that Copenhagen won't want him back? There's all those sort of things. What I would say on all these transfers that have sort of come in is Brian's always got an eye for a year or two ahead. And Trott's one of those as well that sort of fulfills a position for a number of years. There's a clear plan that he's trying to implement, and you'll see that come in January as well.
Interesting. So Peterborough away on Saturday. Is your brother travelling up to that one, or is that a silly question to ask?
Silly question, mate. That guy lives on the train and in the grounds, doesn't he?
Yeah, no, fair play to him, but he's unbelievable. Commitment's unreal, and I going back, little Sienna. It was her birthday. Was it last week or the week before?
Yeah.
So big shout out to Sienna, but that was a Cairo Ely, the football team, who done a video on that. And I thought that was outstanding because it's not just Cardiff City games your brother goes to support with Sienna, is it? It's all kind of grassroots teams and
that's bonkers,
just loves watching football.
I was with Barry Town the other week, and they were speaking about it. Then Penabont were talking about it. Then you look at like some of the sort of leagues around, sort of lower league. It's bonkers. Not just Wales, across the UK. You always have a Celtic as well as another one. He's mad.
No, fair play. Yeah, so with Peterborough coming up Saturday, like I said, I would imagine Perry Ng will come back into the squad. Capaccio is obviously going to be out of the next round, but I would imagine perhaps Perry will come in for a game. I know the next round is not until the 15th of December, so we shall see. Just can I see many changes to Peterborough away?
Well, I sit there and I say every week that we know what his team's going to be, and always proves us wrong, doesn't he? I think the changes tend to be at centre at half, centre midfield. That's the lottery thing, and then it depends how he feels then with the front two. But,
and I think a big thing for him is that he's quite open and honest to say that the team is never picked. It's always based on how they perform in training, which is probably a good thing to have. Really, it's probably more of an headache for him because I would imagine he's got his ones that he's set on, but again, we've gone and called sides before games this season, and we've rocked up, and it's completely, the kind of opposite. And he'd come out and said thereafter, well, this person have performed in training this week and deserve to go. So who knows? But he's getting paid the big bucks anyhow. Probably not mega bucks, but more bucks than perhaps what me and you seeing to make those kind of decisions.
Well, that's the best thing about Brian. They're all picked on form. They're not picked on name or reputation. So everyone's on your pedestal.
100%. Guys, we are going to keep it rather short tonight because I am expecting my two youngest in from a Halloween party at any moment, if I'm completely honest. But we should be all right for another 5 or 10 minutes. Anything you guys want to ask me or Aaron, get it in the chat. Anything else you want us to discuss this evening, please feel free. When we are waiting for any of those questions or anything to come in, if you do want to become a member of Cardiff City World, you can do it. There's a variety of ways. You can scan the QR code in the top corner of the screen. That will take you through to our Patreon website where you can join up via Patreon, or you can also do it through Cardiff City World. For the price of a cup of coffee a month, it does allow Si to keep creating content 7 days a week for you guys. So, yeah, keep it coming. Ian says, any costumes sorted for tomorrow, lads?
This is my costume.
I've picked up an overtime shift in work, I have, so I'm kind of missing all that tomorrow, so I'm not disappointed too much, I'll be honest. So, yes. Again, it's something the kids love and enjoy, don't they? But I think it can... Christ, back when we was younger and I used to go trick-or-treating, we weren't worried about sweets, and now we're just going out with eggs and flour. I think it has changed slightly. I don't know what it was like when you was younger, mate, but yeah.
My kids, they haven't got I think they've got the costume sorted, but they've definitely got the Halloween behaviour sorted tonight.
Yes. It's only going to get worse tomorrow night, mate, when they're high on sugar, I think. Question from Halftime Oranges. When is Tan making an appearance? I'd have thought this would be a great time for him to build some rapport back with the fans here.
Yeah.
I wouldn't have any idea. To be honest, I know you've got ties with the club, but I wouldn't imagine stuff like that's filtered down, is it? I don't know.
It's very soon.
Very soon, there we go. Any whispers of signings for the January window? Again, this is something Alan might probably know more than me, but again, he's probably got to be careful what he says. But, going from what Barry Murphy said before, I think he's always open to looking at improving the squad. He's quite... What's the word I'm looking for? He's not open too much about it in previous press conferences, but I think he's always said if there's people out there that's going to benefit the squad, then, they can be looked at. But I don't know if you can go on any more than that, mate, or just pretty much agree with what I said.
So I know last week there was 2 areas that they were in talks of regarding. One of the deals sort of had an implication for another player, so it would take a bit of movement. And please don't think that that's anything to worry about. It's not that the Rubens and that of the world are going, but it's just basically a way of improving the team. And I think, for all the negativity and the criticism our club are doing, they're doing very well behind the scenes. And you sort of know the names that they're after. There's some really interesting names there and some really intriguing ones I weren't sort of fully aware. As you sort of start to analyse, you think you can see what Brian's trying to do. There's a clear dynamic of power, pace, forward thinking, and yeah, the 2 bits, if we can get something out of a line. My God.
We'll say now then, Erling Haaland is on loan 1st of January. He's coming in. So get his shirt signed, get him ready.
He doesn't get in over Robbo.
No.
Definitely.
Des says he's happy with the team he has compared to what he said today. Yeah, I think they're all putting a shift in for him, and I suppose when you're a manager, if all the guys are buying into what you're trying to do, and he's seeing that day in, day out on the training field, granted, I know, some results haven't gone our way, but you look at the games perhaps we've played after the ones that we've lost, there's been reactions there. So as a manager, that's all you can ask for, I think, mate. It'd be nice to go through the season undefeated and not have any slip-ups. But we got to remember, football's a weird game. And things are going to happen. That 94th minute goal against us on the weekend, we controlled large periods of that game. Same against Burton. I think we had something like 76% possession, but we didn't create those chances. So it's things like that we learn from. And it's been nice to see that we've had a reaction again to that defeat on the weekend by going to a championship club like Wrexham and pretty much controlling the majority of that game, mate.
Absolutely. That's why it's the greatest sport on the planet, isn't it? You're just the unknown.
Halftime Orange has Bluebirds up and Wrexham down prediction. I'd go for the Bluebirds up, but I think there's worse teams in the championship than Wrexham. I'm not saying they won't get dragged into it. There might be a bit of a dogfight there, but I think there's a couple of teams worse off than Wrexham in that championship. And bearing in mind they've had a lot of people through the doors in the summer, it's going to take them, a bit of time to kind of gel together. But I would not say like to think they wouldn't get relegated because, they're a rival at the end of the day. But again, with the Welsh kind of cap on, you kind of want all your Welsh teams in this. How good would it be next year to have, a Wrexham game, the Swansea derby, and have us all in one league? I think I'd prefer that. Would you?
Yeah, absolutely. I think the thing with Wrexham as well is I can't see that their manager being there past January, and also they'll throw a lot more money at it, won't they?
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see that, mate. And there's something I think I talked about with Reece over the weekend, and it might have been on the 1927 podcast on Saturday. You can't knock him for what he's done since he's been there, really. Taking him from, National League up to the Championship. But then I suppose football's a business now. It's cutthroat. There's a, result-orientated business. So it'll be interesting to see how they kind of manage that, mate.
Absolutely, but I would probably agree that I think it'll be tight for Wrexham, but they'll just have enough. But I do think we'll be up.
Yeah, no, 100%. Did you class that game Tuesday night as a typical derby, or was it a bit far fetched for you as well? Really,
it just didn't have that buzz. Like the Swansea game, there's a routine. You feel it. You get that excitement, the nervousness. There was none of that. Like it's great to play another Welsh team, but there was no. They probably weren't even the same sort of atmosphere you had against Bristol City. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
There was no real excitement. It was strange, very very strange. It might be different for the fans that were in the ground, but to me, it just made all the fact that potentially we haven't played them in such a long time. But there was no sort of real energy to it.
I wanted to bring this comment up from Des. Cover for Salek would be good in January in case of injury. Again, I know he's had his, people criticising him throughout the season. Probably thought he would have scored more goals. But some of the games he gets manhandled. Sometimes I think he's looking for that free kick rather than trying to shake that play off, if I'm completely honest. But I thought Tuesday night he put a hell of a shift in, worked them. But them central defenders are still looking in their pocket to see if they can find him, because I thought he was outstanding. We worked really hard for the team on Tuesday.
Absolutely agree. Bringing in a player to cover for Salic, you've got to get a real quality player. But then, what player is going to want to come sit as second fiddle to Salic for that?
Yeah, that's the trouble. And I know we've got other strikers within the squad, but they're different types of strikers. And people compare, Callum Robinson to Yusuf Salic, but they're completely different types of players, and they, Salic can hold the ball up. He's still good with the ball at his feet. Don't get me wrong, but you don't see that. Callum Robinson would come shorter for the ball rather than playing the ball up to him. So it'll be interesting to see. But yeah, it's a good shout. Last couple then before we start wrapping up. Do we think championship teams will look at BBM? I don't think he'll leave regardless.
I don't think he would need a good season or two at that level before the better teams. He's not going to want to leave Cardiff City for anything below a top 4 or 5 club in the Championship in reality, because it's a huge club in it with potential. So no, I can't see him
and
going.
I think he's at the start of something hopefully great, and hopefully that project is something he's excited about developing and moving on. And yeah, let's hope in the next 3 or 4 years he can take us back to that promised land, which is the Premier League.
And with the reputation of Cardiff City, you'd be more worried that if he didn't get up, what the board would look to do. You know what I mean?
Yeah. BBM's been a breath of fresh air. We could be where Plymouth are. And I think it goes to show how difficult League One is, right? And this is, credit again to BBM and the staff at Cardiff and how we've approached the season. Plymouth have come down, Luton have come down. Luton were probably, they were tipped to probably be above us in the league, and I know there's still a long way to go. But again, they're struggling at the moment. Plymouth are struggling quite badly. So League One is not, it's not a given for teams coming down from the Championship that they're going to go kind of straight back up. But I think I'm, at this given moment, nearly going into November, I'm pretty happy with us being there or thereabouts at the top, and looking fairly decent, mate. Are you kind of under the same opinion?
Yeah, absolutely agree, mate. We can always try and aspire to be a bit higher up, but you would take it exactly now where we're at, especially with some of the bigger teams, I'd call it, that we've sort of played and knocked off early in the season, and some difficult away days. So yeah,
happy days. Des says, I wasn't feeling it as a Swansea derby on Tuesday. Funny old game, more of a derby for them. I liked Yusuf Salek's comments after the match as well. That was first class. He's bought in since he's come, obviously, in January last season. I think he loves every single minute of being a Cardiff City player, and that's the kind of opinion I get from the way he talks, the way he is on the field and things.
No, you're absolutely right. Just the type of player, and it just gets it. Just gets what the club's about, gets what the fans are about.
And again, that's something we haven't had for a good couple of years. I always go back and I forget the game who it was, but in the Ninian stand, somebody had collapsed or had a seizure, I think, and he was the first player. He kind of jumped over the hoarding boards, didn't he? And he was in the crowd seeing if he could help. And I just thought that speaks volumes of the man. And I just hope he can the net a few more times now before the end of the season, and keep him loving Cardiff City as much as he is already.
I just love his desire and his work rate. For a guy of his size, he doesn't stop running, so his numbers must be good.
What's your opinion on Ruben's pressing again this year? Because I think his fitness levels have gone through the roof for me.
I absolutely agree, but I think it's always been a case that, and I think he's probably been criticised for things that he. Do you know what I mean? Like, his numbers have always been pretty good, and they are much higher this year, but he was always a negative. I don't get it, to be fair. I think it was a position he played.
I suppose since BBM is coming, he's playing more regular, and he under Bullet, probably not so much Risa, but under Bullet, he'd probably have a good game and then be on the bench. Then he play a game, be on the bench, but he seems to have more of a consistent run in the team under BBM.
Agreed, absolutely agree.
Right, guys, thank you very much for tuning in. Very much appreciated. Simon is back tomorrow evening with the preview for the Peterborough game. Myself and Risa will be back on Saturday to do the 1927 club, and then Simon is back on Sunday for the breakdown. As I said earlier, if you do want to become a member of Cardiff City World, the information has been scrolling across the bottom of the chat from the very start. If anybody does want to reach out and ask any questions, by all means they can. Aaron, thank you very much, buddy. I know you've got some difficult things going on at the moment, so anything I can ever help with, but just ask. But I appreciate you taking time out for us tonight. And we'll catch up with you soon. No star all.
All the best. Thank you.
This channel is powered by an incredible membership community on Cardiff City World and patreon.com/AcePodcastNation. Becoming a member unlocks exclusive rewards from early access to live event tickets, bonus content, and even the occasional inside transfer scoop when we get it. But more importantly, it allows us to bring you top quality Cardiff City content 7 days a week. Across those 7 days, we're talking match previews, exclusive interviews, instant match reactions, the breakdown podcast, tactical deep dives, the Spotlight series, Bluebirds Rewind, Academy Focus, and just so much more. Led by myself, backed by an army of passionate Cardiff City fans, this is content created by fans for fans. Balanced, professional, and 100% all about the club we all love. If you enjoy what we do, then join the community today and support what we are doing as we help to keep Cardiff City World flying high.